World War II. World War II saw the beginning of the widespread use of advanced bombers, which when dispensed with defensive weapons was able to attain higher speed, range, and had a very good performance. These aircraft have proved to be very successful and have also played a major role during that time. In this video, we will present the list of the 10 greatest bombers of World War II, and this list will also include medium bombers, light bombers, and even torpedo or dive bombers. So firstly, we have the Douglas A26 Invader. This is a twin-engine light bomber and ground assault aircraft designed by Douglas Aircraft Company. The A-26 proved to be a highly effective light bomber for the United States Air Forces throughout World War II, Korea, and Vietnam War. It was a fast aircraft capable of carrying a large bomb load. A range of guns could be fitted to produce a formidable ground attack aircraft. This versatile aircraft was more or less America's counterpart to the British Mosquito and German Ju-88. Up next is the Grumman Tbf Avenger. The Avenger was initially deployed in the United States in 1942 during the Battle of Midway. It is the most effective and the most successful torpedo bombers of World War II, destroying the super battleships Yamato and Musashi 30 submarines. This bomb bay could accommodate one USN short air torpedo, one 2,000-pound bomb, one 1,000 bomb, 4 500-pound bombs, or an equivalent load of smaller bombs. It is also equipped with one 30 caliber machine gun and two 50 caliber machine guns. Up next is the Douglas Sbd Dauntless. This is a World War II American naval scout plane and dive bomber that was manufactured by Douglas Aircraft from 1940 through 1944. The SBD proved to be an effective scout or dive bomber, and it also played a key role in the Pacific War victory. During the Battle of Midway, Dauntless dive bombers sunk 4 Japanese strike ships, which is the Pacific War's turning point. The type earned its nickname Slow but Deadly during this period. It had a long-range, superb agility, a powerful bomb load, and excellent diving characteristics. Next is the Hanley Page Halifax. This is a British Royal Air Force 4-engined heavy bomber of the Second World War. It was a major component of Bomber Command, performing routine strategic bombing missions against the Axis powers, many of them at night. During their service with Bomber Command, Halifaxes flew a total of 82,773 operations and dropped 224,207 tons of bombs. The Halifax was heavily used to deploy mines in the vicinity of enemy-held ports. It served increasingly in other support capacities as the war progressed. Up next is the Consolidated B-24 Liberator. This is an American heavy bomber designed by Consolidated Aircraft of San Diego, California. During World War II, the B-24 bomber was widely employed, and it served in the U.S. military as well as numerous Allied forces and ships. The B-24, along with B-17, was the backbone of the U.S. strategic bombing campaign in Western Europe theater, and because of its range, it was helpful in Pacific bombing missions, including the bombing of Japan. The Liberator played an instrumental role in closing the Mid-Atlantic Gap and the Battle of the Atlantic. Next is the Havilland Mosquito. This is a British twin-engine, shoulder-winged multi-role combat aircraft that was first used during World War II. It was operated in many roles, performing medium bomber, reconnaissance, tactical strike, anti-submarine warfare, and shipping attacks and night fighter duties until the end of the war. This light bomber was often flown in special raids, such as Operation Jericho, precise strikes against military intelligence, security, and police sites such as Gestapo headquarters. The Mosquito turned out to be one of the most successful warplanes of the Second World War, and arguably the best light bomber ever produced. Up next is Afro Lancaster. It first saw service with RAF Bomber Command in 1942 and as the strategic bombing offensive over Europe gathered momentum. It was one of the most heavily used of the Second World War night bombers, delivering 608,612 long tons of bombs in 156,000 sorties. Although the Lancaster was primarily a night bomber, it excelled in many other roles, including daylight precision bombing. It can carry 5,400 kg tallboy and then the 10,000 kg Grand Slam earthquake bombs. This was the largest payload of any bomber in the war. The Lancaster was Britain's war-winning bomber. Up next is the Junkers Ju-87. This was a German dive bomber and ground attack aircraft that first flew in 1935. At the start of World War II, the Ju-87 performed admirably in close air support and anti-shipping missions. It was in charge of air assaults during the September 1939 invasion of Poland. They were instrumental in the quick conquest of Norway, Netherlands, Belgium, and France. Its ability to deliver bombs precisely on targets influenced later German bomber design, with the majority of them requiring dive bombing capabilities. Up next is the Boeing B-17 Flying Fortress. This is a four-engined heavy bomber developed in the 1930s for the United States Army Air Corps. The B-17 was primarily employed by the USAF in the daylight strategic bombing campaign of World War II against German industrial, military, and civilian targets. It was a long-range bomber that was reasonably quick, high-flying, and had substantial defensive weaponry at the price of bomb load. During World War II, the B-17 dropped more bombs than any other American plane. Over 640,000 tons of the approximately 1.5 million tons of bombs unleashed on Nazi Germany and its controlled areas by U.S. aircraft were dropped by B-17 bombers. The B-17 also participated to a lesser extent in the war in the Pacific early in the World War II, where it conducted raids against Japanese shipping and airfields. Last but not the least, we have the Boeing B-29 Super Fortress. This is an American four-engine propeller-driven heavy bomber designed by Boeing, flown primarily by the United States. It was the definitive heavy bomber of World War II. Its operational ceiling of over 35,000 feet, as well as its defensive armament of 4 centerline, remotely controlled power-driven turrets, presented major issues for Japanese interceptor planes. One of the largest aircraft of World War II, it could carry 20,000 pounds of bombs internally in the 2 bomb bays. B-29s ended the Second World War by dropping atomic bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki and became the only aircraft that has ever used nuclear weapons in combat. And with this, we're winding up the video for today. Don't forget to stay tuned for more videos from The Buzz. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.